Most people talk about what to change, but no one talks about how to change. And that's why so many people stay stuck, because knowing you need to change isn't enough. You have to be honest, open, and willing to actually make it happen. I experienced this about 15 years ago in one of the most powerful ways when I became the new alternative education teacher at a big high school. These were high school students that most people had written off, labeled as difficult, bad attitudes, or too far gone to save. But I knew something they didn't. Change wasn't impossible, it just required a different approach. On the first day of class, I looked at the 30 students and told them that we were going to do a trust fall, but not your typical trust fall. It was going to be much more extreme. We were going to get on top of the high counter that was on the side of the classroom, and we were going to fall backwards and have the people in this room catch them. Who wanted to go first? Silence. No one moved. No one said a word. I moved a chair over to the counter and got on top of the counter. I looked into the eyes of every student. Students who didn't trust their teachers, who didn't trust school, and honestly didn't even trust themselves. I asked them to catch me, because if they didn't, it would be catastrophic. I'm literally putting myself in your hands. One of them looked at me and asked, "What if we don't?" I smiled and said, "Well, then this is going to be the shortest program in school history." And then I fell backwards. Thankfully, they caught me. Not only that, every single one of them got up on the counter and did the exact same thing, falling backwards. One by one, teenagers who had been rejected, doubted, and underestimated let go of fear and chose to trust. That moment changed everything, because we weren't just about change, we were about doing it. And that's what really I want to share with you in this video. The 3 keys to change are honesty, openness, and willingness. Step 1 is honesty and owning the truth. You need to tell the truth. That sounds pretty obvious, right? But I mean being radically honest with yourself about where you are and what's holding you back. Most people stay stuck because they lie to themselves in some level. They'll say things like, "I'll start tomorrow. I really don't need to change. This isn't my fault." But change doesn't start until you're willing to face the truth head on. I had to do this with my students. I told them straight up, if I was your age, I'd probably be in the same class with you right now. I wasn't there to look down on them. I was there because I knew what it was like to struggle in school. That honesty connected me with them. And once they saw that, they started being honest with me. And that's where real progress began. What's one truth you've been avoiding? The thing that deep down you know you need to face. Drop it in the comments, or if you're not ready to share it publicly, at least write it down for your own records. The second step is being open, and that is where you're receptive to change. Honesty is great, but it's not quite enough. You also need to be open. You need to be open to new ideas, open to new perspectives, and open to new opportunities. I learned this when I was in high school. I wanted to be on the boys' basketball team. That was my dream, my goal. But I wasn't quite good enough to make the team. One day when I was a senior, the girls' head basketball coach asked me if I wanted to be the manager. And at first, I thought that was just ridiculous. If I can't be on the boys' team, why would I want to be the girls' manager? But I became open to that idea, becoming the girls' basketball manager. And at first, even though I kind of resisted the idea, once I opened up to it, that decision changed everything. It led to me coaching, it led to me teaching, and ultimately it shaped my entire life because I was open to doing something that I hadn't expected or frankly didn't want to do, but it opened a lot of doors for me. Most people get stuck because they refuse to accept that they might be wrong. They hold on to stories about themselves and their limitations. But if you stay closed, you stay stuck. Something for you to consider: where are you resisting change? What's one opportunity you might be ignoring because it doesn't look the way you expected it to? The third part is willing. You have to be willing to take bold action. You can be honest, you can be open, but if you're not willing to take the action, nothing will change. That's why I took the big gamble that first day of my class 15 years ago. I got up on the counter, I looked at the 30 skeptical students, and I said, I'm going to fall backwards and you're going to catch me. That moment was a make or break moment. If they let me hit the ground, well, it would have been over. But I was willing to take that risk and trust them before they trusted me. And because of that, they were willing to trust me in return. Being willing isn't always about some dramatic leap. It's also about consistency. I once challenged my students to pick something small, something positive and productive that was easy to do, but also easy not to do. For me, it was flossing my teeth. I started flossing my teeth around 2010 every day. Before that, I'd been very intermittent, but that was something easy to do, easy not to do. And because I was so open with them, I was so honest with them, and I was willing to share my successes and failures with them, then they started doing things that were easy to do but easy not to do and changing. So a question I have for you is, what's one action, big or small, you're willing to take today? Drop it in the comments. It could be making a call, reading a book, or even flossing your teeth. But choose something. This idea of how to change, HOW, honesty, openness, and willingness, was given to me by Bill Wetzel, a dear friend of mine. He lived from 1940 to 2016. And he was a dear friend, and he shared this method with me, and I found it so useful for students, for adults, for other people, for my own self. And I just want to give him credit. I want to give Bill Wetzel credit for this system and then me being able to share it with you. Because when you can adopt this and you can be honest with yourself, and that's one of the hardest things to do because we can deceive ourselves so easily. But when you can be honest with yourself, then you can be open. And most of us think we're open, but really be open. Get out of your box, get out of your comfort zone, and be like, what could I do? What other possibilities are out there? How am I closing myself in and I don't even realize it? And then willingness. Be willing to do those different things. Try the different stuff. Challenge yourself a little bit. Actually take the action. Because if you don't take the action, then it's like doing a recipe. You make a cake, but you don't put it in the oven. You never get a cake. You have to take that action. Remember, change isn't what you know. Change is what you do. Thanks for joining me on this video. Check out my other videos I have on topics like confidence and motivational stories. Until the next video, I look forward to seeing you somewhere, maybe in one of my courses or other programs I have. All the best to you. Although this video is very exciting to me, it was also really hard for me to make because several things came into play. One was Bill Wetzel was someone I've known since about 1990, and it just reminded me of all the things that he had done to help me in my life. And so I would get kind of emotional thinking about that. Then I have to get myself put back together and make the video. And then the other thing was, I was thinking about that specific class that I had around 2010 and what they've done. Some of them work in schools, some of them are in the automobile industry, others are in construction, and one is even just got his doctorate degree and is a professor in college. And I was just thinking about all of the stuff that was in front of them back then that they didn't even know. And so I'd get kind of emotional about that, just feeling about how much success they've had, the challenges they overcame, and I just felt such pride in this. So I just wanted to give you that insight here, because this video was honestly hard for me to make because of Bill Wetzel having such a huge influence on me, and then also thinking about the students and how much they transformed, and that experience of falling backwards. That was just one of many things we did that year that made it so special. And I've always felt in my heart that that year was could be a movie. It was that dynamic and that amazing. So anyway, that's the story behind the story, and I'll see you in the next video. All the best to you.